On today's edition of the Freelance Marketing Ninja Show, we're going to talk about numbers, math, metrics, and really the numbers that you should know inside of your affiliate marketing business. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey, what's up? What's up? Welcome to the Freelance Marketing Ninja Show. I am your host, Eric Stephenson. I come from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I am excited for episode number 34 because, I actually like math. I like data and stats a little bit. I'm not in what's called the analyst quadrant, so to speak, but there are really some numbers and some metrics you should know in your business if you're going to succeed. You have to pay attention to these. Otherwise, you could end up spending a lot more than you make back, right? If you're not aware of what the numbers and what the data is telling you. So let's share my screen so we can dive right into this topic. Metrics. That's right. You just need to know your numbers. Quite simply, that's it. If you know what, especially if you are, if you're using paid advertising sources, this is critical. Maybe not as critical if you're not paying for your advertising. I mean, because you don't really have the hard costs, but when you are paying for advertising, knowing what it costs you to get certain results is absolutely critical. So let's talk about what some of those metrics might look like. So if you wanted to track these, you could certainly build a spreadsheet, something like this, and track them every day. But these are just some of the metrics. There might be other metrics that are important to you, but these are the ones that I tend to think about a lot, right? So if you you need to know on a daily basis how much money you're putting into paid advertising, of course. And usually with when you buy advertising, the advertisers will give you a certain number of either impressions or clicks, depending on what the advertisers actually pays you based off of. But even tracking the number of ad impressions, the number of clicks can be useful for depending on the traffic source. You want to know how many leads were generated for your ad spend, how many sales were generated, and what were your earnings, like what were the actual commissions that you earned as a result. Well, you can actually express all of this in different ratios that can help you understand if you're improving or just staying the same or actually declining in your performance of your ads and your funnels. So here are some of the metrics that I like. I like to track. We have the CTR, which is actually stands for the click-through rate, right? And so to calculate the click-through rate, what we have is we look at the number of ad impressions that we have, and we divide that by the number of clicks. So if we were to go back here in our spreadsheet and we look at the number of ad impressions, and we divide that by the number of clicks we receive. Oh, that should not be expressed as a dollar amount. That should be expressed as actually, yes. Not CTR should not be. Right. The CTR should be expressed as a percentage, actually. I did this backwards. It should be clicks See, see, this is what I get for doing something like this live. So we actually want to do this backwards. We want to look at the number of clicks divided by the number of ad impressions. So 1%, 1% of the people that were shown your ad actually clicked through to see what was on the next page. So that's a good metric on how well your ad is performing. And depending on the ad platform you're using, 1% could be excellent or it could be terrible. I think for Facebook ads, that's pretty okay, just kind of okay. Cost per click. The CPC would be the cost per click. So what we do is we look at how much you've spent divided by the number of clicks, right? So we look at the total ad spend, which was $100. We divide that by the number of clicks. And we have a 10-cent CPC. That means for every click, it costs us 10 cents. And that's actually very low. That's actually a very low cost per click. If you can achieve that on a lot of different platforms, especially if you've got a quality traffic source, that is an amazing cost per click. Then we have our cost per lead. And it's kind of the same thing. We just are dividing, just doing division. This is just simple math. And we are dividing the ad spend by the number of leads we receive. So how much does it cost us to get a lead, essentially? And we'll go here, we'll look at the number of what our ad spend was, divide that by the number of leads. And wow, we are getting leads for 40 cents in this example, which is amazing. When I first got started with Facebook ads, I think I was getting somewhere around $3 or $4 per lead. So if you could get 40-cent leads and those leads are converting, you're in pretty good shape usually. But that just because somebody is more likely to sign up doesn't always mean that that person is likely to buy from you. Keep that in mind. Okay, CPA stands for cost per acquisition. How much does it cost you to acquire a customer? So we look at, again, how much did we spend on ads? And we divide that by the number of sales. And that tells us how much it costs to go out and get a customer if we're using paid advertising. So we look at ad spend, divide that by the number of sales, and we see that we have a $20 cost per acquisition. So if you are selling a product where you make more than $20, right, and it costs you $20 to acquire that customer, you can run that profitably, right? And the more profitably you can run it, probably determines how quickly you can scale that. Now, there are some other considerations, and we'll handle that, I think, in a future. We'll walk through that in a future edition of the Freelance Marketing Ninja Show. But that's pretty good. If you can make $40 or $50 per sale, then you are doing great with that kind of a cost per acquisition. Earnings per click, right? EPC. So a lot of times it's really helpful for you to know for every click you get, how much you actually earn, especially if you compare that to your cost per click, right? So if your earnings per click are more than your cost per click, again, it's just another indicator that you are running profitably. So we look at the total earnings, which we made $200, and we divide that by the number of clicks we had. Again, we have a 20%. We earn 20 cents for every click, but since it only costs us 10 cents for every click, obviously this is a pretty profitable example. All right, so I've already kind of alluded to this, but this is the average customer value. So, how much do you earn per customer that you generate, right? We just look at the number of sales and we divide that by the number of earnings. So, we have the number of sales, divide that by our total earnings, and we see that no, that is not correct. I think I've got it backwards again. This is what I get for doing things live, right? It should be the earnings divided by the number of sales. So we want to do earnings divided by number of sales, and we're earning $40 for each customer we generate, and but it's only costing us $20, right? So we're making twice as much, pretty much per per customer. And then all this is also a really important metric when you get into the world of Facebook ads. Sometimes you'll see people talking about their ROAS a lot. That stands for return on ad spend. This is a ratio that determines really how profitable your advertising is. So to calculate this, we're looking at the total earnings divided by how much you spent on ads. So that can be calculated by just looking at the total amount we earned for the day. And we can divide that by the total ad spend. We have a 200% ROAS, or 2 times for every dollar spent, we're getting $2 in return out of the back end. So, if you as a beginner can achieve a 200% ROAS, you'll be doing great, because that actually allows you to take your earnings and invest that back into more ad spend. And that's how you get to a place where you start really making the big money. You just have to first of all, get to a place where you're profitable on your ad spend. And you have to, in order to do that, you have to really work on your ads, making those ads perform as good as they can. You have to work on your customer acquisition process, which we call a funnel. And that is basically the web pages that exist out there that people go through, whether there's videos on those web pages or there's what we call sales copy that sell the product. And that exists both on before you refer a customer and after you refer a customer. And that's usually, those pages are built by the the people or the companies where you're marketing their products. That's why it's hugely important for you to choose a proven offer to promote, because you don't have any control of what happens on the back end. You only have control of up to a certain point when you hand it off. So you want to make sure that that product that you recommend is already proven to make sales, so you don't have to worry about it. You just have to worry about what you're focused on. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Well, I hope I wasn't too dry talking about like all these numbers and metrics, but to have a conversation, with other marketers, or if you start to eventually ever build a team, these you definitely want to be aware of all these metrics. Now, there is one other metric I wanted to talk about, and if you saw my slide already, I'm not. The surprise is spoiled, but there is one metric I didn't talk about, and it's actually, in my opinion, the most important metric that you should be concerned with as a digital marketer, right? And this is a mindset that, frankly, not a lot of digital marketers have this mindset. But if you operate your business trying to maximize this metric, you will be more profitable over time and build a long term business, as opposed to being just focused on your short term, turning and burning, and maybe not really caring about your customers. And this is called the LCV, lifetime customer value, or yeah, your average customer value over the lifetime. So you might cost it might cost you $200 to acquire a customer, where your average sale immediately is $200, right? So maybe you break even on your ad spend. But if you have a back end, where that customer can continue to get value and purchase additional products over time, and or on your email list, if you have customers that stay on your list for 2 or 3 years before they even become customers, if you can maximize those two things, you could potentially break even or even lose money acquiring customers, right? Because in the long run, that's going to make you very profitable, because you've built relationships, because you've provided value, and you've treated your customers well. So the marketers that I learned this from, both have sold over $70 million in products online, and because they focus on that, they think about this metric. That's why they were able to do it, and that's how they're different from marketers that haven't done anywhere near that. Keep that in mind. So that is it for today's show. Because I was not smart enough to come up with a beginner tip of the day. Actually, you know what? I have one. I have a beginner tip of the day. It not probably is not my best beginner tip of the day, but if you're doing this one thing, it might help you out. Let me start this. This is the beginner tip of the day. This is for you if you're brand new, you feel like you're not just drinking from the fire hose, but getting sprayed in the face, and you're overwhelmed. You don't know what to do, and you just have no idea what direction to go. So this is a simple tip. If you're feeling that way, if you're just getting started and you are feeling that way, absolutely do not do this. Do not go on Facebook into an affiliate marketer group and ask somebody in the group to please teach me. Because inevitably what you're going to get is you're going to get an inbox full of people trying to sell you their affiliate marketing course. My recommendation is maybe get to know some of the personalities out there. Watch their ads, watch the videos, watch their content that they put out. It's really a good way to get to know somebody, know their values, know if you jive with them, right? And there's people there, some of the more experienced marketers and some of um, the more successful marketers do that very well, and you can get an idea of who that person is before you decide to do business with them. If you're so in a rush to get this done, you will probably be circled by the vultures. And there they are out there in this business. I'm not going to say who they are, but they are definitely out there. And you definitely want to make sure that you're working with somebody that you feel like you can learn from. You're working with somebody that you have trust with, that you can trust, and you're working from somebody that you just like, right? You just kind of, if you don't like the person you're learning affiliate marketing from, chances are you're not going to stick with it. So um, don't go to Facebook groups and say, please help me. I'm new to affiliate marketing. Please teach me. That's my beginner tip of the day. Anyways, I hope you got value out of today's show. If you did, just let me know. Drop some comments, and we will see you on tomorrow's edition of the Freelance Marketing Ninja Show. Take care.